We're not going to apologize for having been right. We are not going to apologize for not believing the big red bus. We are not going to apologize for seeing through the lies of Boris Johnson and the lies of Michael Gove and the lies of Ian Duncan-Smith. We will not apologize for seeing Nigel Farage for what he truly is.
A hero.
No more apology. And the other thing we're not going to do is give up. Because they've been telling us to give up for 2 years now. For 2 years they've been telling us not even we're fighting a losing battle, that we're fighting a lost battle, that this battle's already over. It's over, you lost, go home. 6 weeks ago I was in a crowd of 150,000 people in London, one of the biggest protests the capital's ever seen. Every poll that comes out proves more and more people are coming over to our side. Not only is the momentum with us, momentum are with us now. And if those guys can get their heads around reality, anybody can. So we're not going to give up. And then people say, well, what do we do? What are we going to do? Okay, you want a bit of encouragement? Look over the Atlantic. Look at the States. Okay, we are currently saddled with the most corrupt and incompetent government in modern history, but so are they. Now, the Republicans have been in complete control of all branches of government for over 18 months. And for all this, they've hardly got a damn thing done. Obamacare, flagship proposal of the Trump campaign. Day one, folks, day one, we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare. 18 months later, they still haven't done it. Day one. For the record, I checked, it's day 578. They still haven't done it. And you know why? Because there's people in America who know that a vote is not the end of the story. Who know that an election is not the end of the story. They picketed their elected representatives' offices. They bombarded them with letters and emails and phone calls, and they said, we're watching you, and we see what you do, and we will remember, and you will be held accountable. So that's what we've got to do. Hands up everybody here who has not yet written to their MP demanding a final vote. Yeah, I'll admit it, I haven't done it either. But you know, my MP is Zach Goldsmith, and I don't know how much good it's going to do. But we're going to do that, and I mean all of us, all of us. A movement consists of individuals. Don't assume this is getting done for you. Go to the website, go to the House of Commons website, find your MP, click on the Mail Me button, say, final vote on the final deal. We demand this. And we've got a Lib Democrat MP, they're supposed to be on our side, make sure they're not slacking off. You've got an SNP MP, they say they're on our side, but make sure they come over. And if it's Tommy Shepherd, tell him I said hi. We got a Labour MP, that's party so on the fence about Brexit right now. If they ever stand up, the fence is going to come with them. Push them off the damn fence! And if you got a Tory MP, that's not the lost cause you might think it is. Because let me tell you something I happen to know. The government knows they blew it, all right? They know what a big mistake they made. They are desperate to get a way out of this. Let's give them that way out. Tell them we need a vote on the final deal with an option to remain, and we can all wake up from this pointless nightmare. So that's what we're not going to do. We're not going to give up. But there's another group of people we need to reach out to. I've got to wrap this up now. We need to reach out to the Leave voters. Don't boo. Nobody boos. They're not all fools. They're not all racists. They're good people who, by and large, voted in good faith for what they thought was right. But we need to ask them a question. And they're not here, so I'm going to ask them into that camera so they can answer me on YouTube. Leave voters, is this really what you voted for?
Yes.
I know when you went into that box in June 2016, you thought you were doing the right thing. Were you voting for food shortages?
There isn't any.
Were you voting for the NHS to run out of medicine by June 2019? Were you voting for economic meltdown for the next 70 years? Were you voting for Jacob Rees-Mogg to move his money to Ireland? And Nigel Lawson to move his ass to France? And Nigel Farage to get his German passport so they can kick back and watch you clean up their mess until the day you die? Was that really what you voted for?
No.
Because if I'm right, and that is not what you voted for, join us.
We voted to leave the undemocratic EU.
Demand a people's vote on the final deal. Not for endless votes until we get the result we want. Just for a vote where the people know what they're looking at. We demand a people's vote. Everybody say that with me now. We demand a people's vote. One more time.
We demand a people's vote.
I don't know how many votes I want. Maybe it's best out of 3.
I feel like Freddie at Live Aid. No, stop. We really don't have the time for that. Are you ready for your first proper type speaker of the afternoon? Yeah, we're not getting that yet because a good friend of ours just rocked up unannounced, but we're very glad he's here and we're going to get him up. He's a local boy, he's a national legend, he needs no introduction, so he's not getting one. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Rory Bremner.
Mitch Bain, ladies and gentlemen. What time's your show? I'm going to be quick, I'm going to do a show as well. Great welcome here. It's the summer of action, of course, this Scottish summer, wonderful, as Billy Connolly said. There's two seasons, winter and July. So we're here. Great to see so many people here. I've got to say, there's got to be 10 million people in this square today. 10 million beautiful people, wonderful people. I thought Mitch was great. I know his dad, Tony, very, very well. It reminded me of Martin Luther King.
Are you in the Fringe today?
What's it, mate?
Are you in the Fringe?
Yeah.
Are you fantastic? What's your act? I'm applauding.
My show is called Doing It On Purpose. My name is Mitch Ben. I'm at the Newtown Theatre on George Street, 3:25 p.m. Thank you. Cheers, Bob.
American with a strange haircut. We'll talk about the lives of a very strange British man with a strange haircut. Oh yeah, I do. Come on, do. So, my friends, I stand before you now, the unlikely love child of Angela Merkel and Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen. And let us not forget, my friends, the real purpose of Brexit, which was to unite the Conservative Party, to bring the country together and put behind us these arguments of the past. And it has been a spectacular, a tremendous, oh look, a puffin. And if my friends, this means that we have to renegotiate 759 treaties with 168 countries. If, my friends, it means an uncertain future for the 51,000 EU nationals who work in our National Health Service. If that means we leave the European Medicines Agency and the European Banking Authority. If that means we lose 2% from our GDP. And if that means a bill of 40 billion euros. That is a price. That is a, oh bloody hell, that is a lot of money. Yes, Boris Johnson, when you resigned, we thought you might lie low. Well, I know, I certainly intend to lie on a lie low. You did say over Heathrow that you would lie in front of a bulldozer. Well, that is entirely consistent. I have already lied in front of a bus. So much of this we can trace back. I've talked to people who voted Brexit because they said all this stuff about bent bananas. You look at Boris's articles in the Telegraph. He said I was composing foam-flecked hymns of hate against the latest Euro infamy, the ban on prawn cocktail paper crisps, the attempt to scrap our double-decker buses, the endless debates on the Euro condom. All true, if by true you mean false and deliberately misleading. This was not true. These were not true. Have you noticed, by the way, all the Brexiteers have three names: Jacob Rees-Mogg, Ian Duncan Smith, Boris Bloody Johnson. It is to say. Vote Leave. Can I tell you about the vote leavers? One thing, I have respect for them. Why? Because all the Vote Leave people have left. The founders of Vote Leave, they quit before the referendum. Nigel Farage gonna say, oh yes, no. He left the day after, grew a moustache, and turned up at the German embassy. Where was he going with that? Poland? No, let me speak. Boris and Gove and Leadsom, they pulled out of the leadership campaign. Now Boris has resigned, and now David Davis has resigned. Boris said, let me tell you, the Brexit dream is dying. Let me tell you, it died the day it became a reality. How do we know? That morning, Michael Gove, woken up by a phone call. His wife says, we were only supposed to blow off the bloody doors. They were mortified. That's why they turned up the day after the referendum, Boris and Michael Gove looking like those two in The Producers who just realised that Springtime for Hitler is going to be an amazing hit when they hoped it was going to be a glorious failure. Now they realise that they have to do this. They have to do what Pascal Lamy, the head of the World Trade Organization, the former head of the World Trade Organization, said what they're going to have to do with Brexit is to try to take an egg out of an omelette. And who's got that job? Theresa May. Now Theresa May, she only got the job because she was the last one to sit down in the post-Brexit game of cabinet musical chairs, and even then she sat in Damien Green's lap and got a bit of a shock. But I feel sorry because, Theresa May, good woman. She keeps going to Switzerland. Dignitas keeps sending her back. She has to do this. And her solution, after 2 years, I assume David Davis was doing something for 2 years, but after 2 years we have what was the Downing Street Agreement. Hatched the hottest summer day outside Downing Street. They're all outside, round the swimming pool, occasional bursts of activity. I got a text! Yes, there's that cabinet, Love Island! We got the Downing Street Agreement, which became the White Paper, which, for the first time, said, well, this is what we think Brexit will look like. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the first time in my experience that the manifesto has turned up 2 years after the vote. And it is for that reason, now we know what we're voting for. That is why we demand a final vote on the Brexit deal. Thank you for coming, you're wonderful people. Thank you so much. Very, very good. Thank you.
Mr. Bremner, how are you doing? This is the Guerilla TV channel.
Hello, how are you doing? You don't look like a gorilla.
Well, thank you very much.
You look like a gorilla, actually, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Thanks very much. So I was just curious, how many votes are it going to take to actually be in the Remain, or would it be if for instance they had another vote and the Remain won, would it then be?
No, I think the answer to that one is that now this is a vote. As I just said, this is a vote. It's very distracting. Sorry. This is a vote which was a decision taken before we even seen the manifesto. People didn't know what was going to happen. So nobody voted to lose jobs. Nobody voted to mean an uncertain future for the 51,000 nationals.
But
the whole point about democracy is the ability to change our minds.
But the economy is just booming. The economy is booming. It's now they will get the FTSE's at the top is the top of the range. It's an all-time highs. The FTSE 100 index is at the top of it's all-time high.
Already, we know that our GDP is already between 1 3/4 and 2% lower than what it should have been. According to the Governor of the Bank of England. He made that statement. We know, at least as far as we've seen from the government's predictions, we know that predicts a loss of up to 8% in our GDP. I've already mentioned the things we've lost: the European Banking Authority, European Medicines Agency. We are hemorrhaging soft power. We are hemorrhaging Europeans who contributed to our economy, massively to our economy. Personally, I believe this is a tragedy, and I think now that we see the consequences of it, and we know the consequences of it, and we're more aware of the consequences of it, in a democracy, we deserve a final vote.
And Brexit is in deep trouble, not because of those of us who thought it was a bad idea, but because those who told us it was a good idea are so incompetent they don't know what it is. And if they ever find that unicorn, maybe we'll look at it. The Brexit bunch tell us that not accepting the results of the vote 2 years after is somehow undemocratic. Who do they think they are? Robert Mugabe? Vladimir Putin? Democracy means having a say on a deal. But we're told by the Brexit bunch to trust them. It'll be fun. Liam Fox, John Redwood, Boris Bloody Johnson, Nigel Farage, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Michael Gove. Would you trust them to babysit your children? Would you trust Jacob Rees-Mogg to tell you the time? Or even which century we're in? And then the lies. We know the lies. We've seen the buzz. We've heard that 75 million Turkish people were about to enter the European Union and live next door to you, madam, apparently. My grandmother from Clydebank always used to say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. We won't get fooled again. And that small matter of breaking electoral law that the Electoral Commission say they did. How have the Brexit bunch reacted to that? The former government minister Priti Patel asked for a whip around to pay for the legal fees of those who were caught up in it. If there are any ordinary decent criminals among you who'd like to come forward, I'll see if we can get her to pay your legal fees as well. Or one of my favourites, the Conservative MP David Campbell-Bannerman, who's one of those Rolls-Royce brains who keeps telling us it's all going to be fine, except if you oppose Brexit and think there might be some good in the EU, you are to be equated with jihadis because you are guilty of treason. I am Spartacus. And then, this is another one of my favourites. The Conservative MP Andrea Jenkins, who's another deep thinker, she says, oh God, madam, you're absolutely right. We need a vision for Brexit. We must all have faith. Well, if you have faith in the Brexit cult, here's the bad news. It's not going to save your soul, and it might not even save your job. So, as we try to think through how to clean up the Brexcrement the Brexit bunch have dumped on the carpet. Thank you. You'll hear that in his show later tonight. Here is the core of truth decay. Brexit is so wonderful, the leading Brexiteers, as you've heard, want to escape it. And it's not just Nigel Farage seeking residency in France or German passports for the Farages. We've had Lord Ashcroft suggesting to clients, perhaps you might consider investing in Malta. We've got John Wedgwood telling clients, consider investment opportunities outside the UK. Jacob Rees-Mogg, of course, is thinking about Ireland. And we've got the former Brexit Minister, Steve Baker, we were told this week, investing £70,000 in a company which advises people to invest in gold to avoid the damage Brexit's going to do. So Brexit's good enough for us, but it's not good enough for the Brexit bunch. They don't even believe their own promises about Brexit, but they want us to believe them. We won't get fooled again. So in 30 seconds, what can we do? We can argue against lies and cheating. We can argue for real democracy. We can argue for a truly fair and free and informed vote. We can continue to expose the hypocrisy of the Brexit bunch. We can argue for a people's vote. Our democracy is too important to leave to people who are leaving the country. We must resist truth decay. They're making fools of our democracy. We won't get fooled again. Thank you.
Oh, that's right. And the sun's come out.
Gavin. Hi, Gavin. My name's David Ballantyne. My family's actually from Clydebank as well. Originally. I was just wondering if we get a quick few words with you.
Do you want to move a little bit?
Yeah, I think that'd be better. Yeah, thanks. So, can you just tell us, the viewers on the Guerilla TV channel, a wee bit about yourself? That's okay.
Yes, I was born in a council house in Clydebank. Along.
Guerilla TV channel. The Guerilla TV channel.
Where are you coming from on this?
It's on YouTube.
Are we on air at the moment? I don't want to be recorded.
No, that's fine.
Just say you interview all these speakers coming up. Can I just have a quick word with you just a second?
Yeah. Sorry, 2 minutes.
So what are you trying to do here?
What's the problem anyway?
Just say what you're trying to do. I'm just asking what you're doing.
Well, I'm interviewing, so you know it perfectly well what I'm doing. Why are you...
I'm just asking where you're coming from on this.
Well, I'm not local to here. Where are you from?
I'm from London, yeah.
Are you? Well, so you're not from here, so who are you? Why are you...
I work for the People's Vote Campaign. I'm just wondering what you're doing.
But why? I'm interviewing people and speaking to people as a journalist. That's what people do.
Yeah, I just said that's what you're doing. Okay, but where are you coming from on this? Because I can provide you with more interviews. Just want to check that you're
But why are you having to provide it? It's a free access here. This is a free... You're actually interfering with me actually having conversation.
I'm only asking what you're doing.
Well, you know perfectly well what I'm doing, and you've seen what I'm doing. I'm only asking pertinent
Yeah, I heard you shouting out like you did vote out, you voted leave.
Yeah, so what? But you're meant to be in here for a dialogue. It's not just you as the Remainers.
You're asking questions.
Yeah,
I'm asking questions.
That's fine, and I'm answering them. But I'm answering them. But you've just dragged me away from an interview. Did you drag any other commentators away? Is it because I'm a leaver that you'd want me to?
I mainly wanted to know what you're doing.
Well, I'm asking questions.
And you've answered the question, and I found out what you're doing. Good luck.
Right, thank you.
Another UK country. The loss of those midwives will inescapably mean that the maternity care that we can offer all
just another quick
women
chat there.
suffers, and the pressure on
I'm sure Gav's
midwives
very
will
happy to speak to you. Can we just do it and sort of,
Well, we're standing away over there.
I'm sure.
It was a perfectly decent conversation.
Just want to have a quick word with Gavin first, if that's all right.
Right, well, chat, John.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you want to speak to him first?
Thousands of EU doctors and EU nurses. More are now leaving and fewer are arriving because Brexit makes them feel unwelcome and gives them so much less certainty over their right to live here. Even now, unbelievably, there is no absolute cast-iron guarantee that they'll be able to stay in the event of a no deal. Something the UK is
If you don't want to speak, because I'm a Remainer, but I mean, if you're not going to interact with it, if you're not going to interact,
I'm sure it's fine. I just wanted to.
I'm happy.
I told them I was a Remainer, but if there's no point in actually, if you're not getting a two-way conversation of people who don't agree.
I'm happy.
Yeah, that's fine. I know you were, Gavin. It wasn't a problem. The gentleman was phoning about. I mean, see if somebody's got a different opinion or a different.
I think it's levers I want to talk to.
Right. Well, that's great. So you're in the.
So do
you're in
3
the
minutes. And
that's fine, Gavin.
So I
Let me
should.
just get your face in, Gavin. So we've got you in. Right, so I'm just curious. Now that we've got the FTSE at all-time highs in the UK. And the actual argument for economic collapse is pretty much gone out the window. It's not really collapsed. In fact, a lot of people are actually probably better off now because the FTSE's at all-time highs. The United States, Dow Jones, and their other indices are at all-time highs. With Trump's reducing regulation. We're now not in an undemocratic EU where 28 unelected commissioners are dictating our regulation without. I noticed you talked about democracy, dictating our regulation without.
Can I just stop you? We are still in the EU. Every single thing you've said is happening while we're in the EU. Everything. It's not about being in the EU, it's about the shambles that the people who have tried to sell us Brexit are selling us. I was born in Clydebank. If I went up and got fish and chips from the fish and chip shop and asked for haddock and chips, and I got a frozen pie or a haggis supper, I would send it back because it's not what I ordered. I hope everybody who is interested in leaving the EU has a think about whether this is the Brexit deal that you want. If it's not what you want, then let's have a people's vote on that Brexit deal.
Well, so the only last question I was going to ask was... Yeah, right.
Better go. Pleasure to
Thanks
be
very
here.
much.
Thanks very much.
Sure, we'll get it again. That's okay. Can you do that not in the middle of my conversation next time, please?
In my 500 years as a political journalist, there has never been a summer like the one we are living through now. We are in the mad, contorted position where even Theresa May, as she enters, I think, her third walking holiday of the summer, there are always dangerous things for her to do. She starts to think and contemplate interesting ideas. She knows, as she's in Upper Hill in Switzerland this very afternoon, that she is leading the United Kingdom towards a cliff's edge. She doesn't know how to pull it back yet. She had what she thought was her deal, her Brexit deal.
So they said they wanted to talk to Leavers, but when they talk to Leavers, they don't want to have a conversation.
Her eyes. 2 cabinet resignations, a revolt by Conservative MPs. There is no majority for her contorted, convoluted Chequers deal, the one where weird machines will be collecting tariffs and technology not invented will be manning the Irish border, those miles and miles of porous things. It is not going to happen, and she knows it. So, she also knows that no deal would be a bigger calamity than her imploding Chequers deal. More to the point, in that Westminster Parliament, full of these eccentric figures, there is no majority for no deal. So we have a Prime Minister contemplating a no deal that she knows would be a disaster in a Parliament where there is no majority for no deal. And this is where we come in. Because there is a way through. this energy-sapping madness. There is a way through to take Britain back from the cliff's edge. She hasn't got there yet, but she will. There is only one way through this, and that is a people's vote on whether, once we have seen all these options, the no deal, her wacky checkers deal, any other wacky deal that surfaces when she gets back from another walking holiday, versus remain. And indeed, when she outlines some of her objectives, you think to yourself, they will all be met by staying in. Now, this is where we come in. Whenever a referendum is mentioned, the instinct of any Prime Minister is to say no. When in the 70s, Tony Benn raised the idea of a referendum, Harold Wilson said, that was the question, referendum. I go, come on, Harold, let's have this referendum. And there was a moment when Wilson realised it would get him through the nightmare. And there was one. And this autumn, when there is parliamentary paralysis, when the European Union rightly rejects the fantasy of her checkers proposition, where her Tory party cannot decide which way to go, when the House of Commons cannot decide which way to go, she will realise that the referendum, a people's vote, is a way through the nightmare. But we have to keep on talking about it. You will read every now and again, oh, it's out of the question, referendum, totally impractical, not enough time, and all the rest of it. It's rubbish. When referendums are argued for and there is a clear case, they happen. Wilson in 75. I never thought in my lifetime there would be a vote on electoral reform. It was a bit of a silly one, but they got a referendum. So keep campaigning, keep talking about it, keep reframing these arguments. Of course people feel left behind. I just got back from Cornwall, where now people realise that the European Union provided the labour for the hotels and for the farms. In the local papers in Cornwall, they say, I thought we would still get the funding for the roads and the helicopters to the Isles of Scilly. They realise now, some of them, that it was the European Union that was connecting them, and that they are going to be left behind by Brexit. So reframe the arguments, keep talking about it, and soon these political figures who are trapped in a nightmare will wake up and announce a people's vote that takes us away from the cliff's edge. See you at my rock and roll politics show. Thank you so much for listening. Let's keep on campaigning. Stay Richard!
Let's fucking get these guys.
Hey, you got some things you can do. Something else you can do is buy the new European newspaper. Matt Kelly would never forgive me if I didn't at least say that once while I was up here.
Sorry, what's your name, bud? We're on the Guerilla TV channel. You seem to be harassing every time I'm actually asking somebody a legitimate thing for that.
Sorry, what's that?
You seem to be harassing people when I'm asking for legitimate interviews.
Can't hear you. Sorry, what
I said you seem to be harassing people when I'm asking for legitimate interviews.
don't think I am, don't think that's great.
What's your what's your role in this organisation, sir? What's your name?
Sorry, what is it?
We're on the Guerilla TV channel, sir. Do you know why do you not want Remainers to actually talk to me because I'm a Leave voter?
I don't want to talk to you.
Why not?
So I'm busy, right?
You seem to be harassing everybody I'm trying to talk to, sir. I don't think so.
An overwhelming Remain vote here in Scotland. I'd just like to take this opportunity just now to say a huge thank you to the People's Vote, and especially to For Our Future's Sake, which are two organisations working so hard to rally and to lift the voices of young people. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, I find myself struggling to articulate my thoughts and my feelings. As a citizen of this country, as a voter, and as someone who believes passionately in social mobility, the anger and frustration that I feel is building daily every time I see another report which is illustrating that this Westminster government is nothing more than a ship of fools steered by incompetent and weak leaders more interested in their own vested self-interest than what is best for our country as a whole. And more to the point, it is this generation of young people who more than anyone else deserve to have the final sign-off on this calamitous deal. This generation, of whom many were too young to vote in the referendum of 2016, are the generation who will feel the ramifications of a hard Tory Brexit more severely, more intensely, from the economic ramifications to the social, impacting on every...
Are you the gentleman in the Remain campaign, aren't you? You're the gentleman that was on the television. Fantastic. You fancy this wee chat on the Guerilla TV channel?
Sure.
Come on, we'll stand over here, buddy. Just stand over. I'm going to stand a wee bit back from you, right, so I can get your face in, okay, bud? I just want to get, so I can get you in, so you're having a conversation. So, hi, my name's David Ballantyne. Could you just tell us your name again? I can't remember.
Femi.
Femi, that's right, Femi. Femi, you've become a big star now on the Remain side, haven't you? A wee bit like Gina. Now, I'm just wanting to know, let's start with something simple. 28 unelected commissioners dictating our policies through the European Commission. Do you think that's democracy?
I think that the policy direction of the EU is set by the 28 heads of government of the EU. So they come together, set the policy direction in the European Council. They then pass it to the Commission, who then comes up with ideas to make that policy a reality. And then those proposals then get set to the directly elected European Parliament. That European Parliament is made of 750 MEPs elected by the people of Europe. Now those people are elected directly, and it's proportional representation, which means that the vote share of those parties actually represents the people of Europe better than the Westminster represents the people of the UK, because in the UK we have first past the post, which means that, for example, I'm from a constituency where the MP is Sajid Javid, so my vote has never counted. So actually, I have more of a say in Europe as a British citizen than I do in the Westminster. So it's actually arguably more democratic than the UK system.
Femi, that's the best explanation I've heard of fudging exactly what happens in the European Union. So let me redress what actually is just said. Okay, so. The Europe 28 unelected commissioners dictate the policy, who have got no responsibility to the people of Europe. They have got no direct input into not directly elected by the people. They are telling the proportionally democratically elected chamber what policies that they've got to vote on. The chamber who have elected don't set the actual policy. So there is no responsibility of them actually giving out policy.
Let me correct things. Those 28 commissioners are chosen by the heads of government of the 28 countries. So they're not random people that just came out of nowhere. The people who we elect chose those people. Similarly to, for example,
why is the Parliament not doing it?
Well, the Parliament has to approve them.
Only to approve. That's like they're the second chamber.
Okay, so the heads of government, they're the ones who choose them.
Why are the people not doing it though? That's not democracy.
Okay, did you choose the Health Secretary of the UK?
That's a cabinet.
Was he on your ballot paper?
No, but I did choose the member.
So the person who's in charge of life and death in this country, the person who's in charge of the health ministry, that person.
He was elected. He was elected.
He wasn't chosen by you.
He was elected.
Sorry, it's one of those ones that, yeah.
No, I'm just asking. He was elected, though. You asked some questions. They don't really like talking to people who are Leavers or Remainers. They just they've got no interest because they can't really sustain the political argument. It's really, as you can see, it's a bit embarrassing. They're saying they want to actually do this. They don't really want to do it.
High environmental and employment standards. Do we want all that? Yes! We all benefit from freedom of movement and from the sharing of resources and wealth across our continent and more widely. Do we still want that? Yes! Scientific research has become pan-European, and so has its funding. Enormous progress has been made in many fields due to the sharing of that funding and the expertise across national boundaries. Do we like that? Yes! The EU has given us peace, prosperity, rights and opportunities unimaginable to previous generations. Should we keep a hold of those things? Yes! I voted so that all that would continue. These are European Union values. Scotland voted that all that should continue. These are Scottish values. The latest polls in Scotland show ever more overwhelmingly that that is what we and our fellow citizens want. And you know what? Even England is cottoning on. We can show them the way, colleagues and friends. And frankly, we're delighted to have so many colleagues up from England and in the audience today. But it is about time that the UK authorities started to pay some respect to our views here in Scotland. Why are we throwing 40 years of hard work and progress building a Europe of cooperation and our devolution settlement into the bucket? That's Scots for dustbin, by the way. Well, the good news is we don't have to. You, me, all of our fellow citizens have the power to stop it. That is what today's rally is all about. We demand a people's vote on the deal. A crisis is coming this autumn when MPs will have to decide whether to make our country poorer, trash our vital public services, and wreck the life chances of the young, or give us all a people's vote on any deal or no deal. When Theresa May believes she has got the best outcome she can get, then she must allow us all to decide if her best is good enough. And we must have the option of retaining our current and leading membership of the European Union. Sign the People's Vote petition online if you haven't already. Wear a sticker and spread the word, as hundreds of thousands of us are doing across the UK. We can do this. We can take the power to decide back from Johnson and Rees-Mogg. Frankly, why would anybody trust Jacob Rees-Mogg with a withdrawal act? He's got 6 kids. It is not too late. Our friends in Europe will help us to recover from this national breakdown. And they have said we are welcome back. We in the European movement in Scotland work for this every day. We are entirely voluntary, a cross-party movement of citizens. If you want to help shape your future and Scotland's, join us today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter so that you have access to news and analysis about Europe from a Scottish perspective and hear about events local to you. Scotland supports the people's vote. 66% of us have said last week we want a people's vote. Join us. Thank you.
That's a great. We're going to keep these moving along.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Sorry, James. Sorry, ladies.
Johnny McLeod from the Isle of Hattis, very possibly a distant relative of mine. Please welcome
Where are you from, buddy?
McLeod.
You represent? You represent?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm feeling a bit left out. I don't
Sorry, you can tell me.
show to promote, but,
Oh, you talk to me, no?
but there is a free slot.
I just wondered because there was a lack of sort of interaction there. I thought they were wanting to talk to Leave Vote.
As someone
job
who's worked in the NHS for 35
You just got to stand there,
first
no?
as a nurse and then as a
So there's no
doctor
real
and
interaction?
professor, I'm deeply concerned about what the future holds. A large proportion of our workforce are doctors and nurses and others.
So why are you not training your own doctors and nurses then?
So I've helped make the NHS what it is, a jewel in our nation's crown. that because of Brexit, we're becoming a less attractive
Sorry, you're not in it.
destination. Earlier this year, we had a consultant neurology vacancy in Port Valley where I work, and we had not a single applicant, and we cannot afford to shut the door on our European colleagues. When we leave the European Medicines Agency, it will set back drug regulation in the UK. We know that drug companies seek approval in the largest markets first, because that's where they make their money. So when we leave Europe, 450 million people, they'll go there before they come here, 65 million people. If you don't believe me, a drug called nivolumab for cancer, approved in Europe 7 months before it was approved in Australia. And I tell you, if I'm someone sitting with cancer waiting for treatment, I'd much rather be in the country that approves drugs quickly. And it's not just new drugs. Many of our most important medicines, including treatments for epilepsy and diabetes, are not manufactured in the UK, but elsewhere in Europe. We need to know where we're going to get them from. Less than 8 months before what might be a very hard Brexit, it seems that nobody in government has a clue, and it seems that they don't care, and they need to take responsibility for their actions. Now in medical research, British academics have leading roles in very important European consortia, pushing back our frontiers of knowledge. Last year, Edinburgh University, where I work, got £35 million in grants from Europe, making a major contribution to the research that we can do, and I know for sure that some people in the audience are employed with money that comes from Europe. And if we don't get that money, then even our employment in our universities might suffer. In my work as a neurologist, I deal with lots of patients who've got chronic, disabling neurological conditions. And many of them are desperate for something, for anything that will help. And sometimes a snake oil salesman comes along and offers a miracle cure with no risk of side effects. And of course, some people are prepared to give it a try, because what do they have to lose? Now, as doctors, we think those snake oil sellers are the lowest of the low, and we'd like to run them out of town, and we'd like to run them off the internet. After the financial crisis, many people have really struggled to make ends meet and to get on. And they too were offered a magical solution with no downside. So for some of them, what did they have to lose? As Brexit gets closer, it's becoming clear that the final deal will be substantially worse than anything we were told at the time, and we all have a great deal to lose, and we have the right to change our mind. When I'm dealing with a patient who might be in the intensive care unit or on our wards who's very unwell, we don't make a decision and stick to it, good or bad. We continually collect new information, think about the problem, and ask ourselves if we're doing the right thing or if we need to change direction. On Brexit, the people should have the same opportunity to look at the deal on offer and decide if we want to accept it. And that's why I support a people's vote. Thank you very much.
It's obviously best out of 3 votes then, isn't it? Fantastic. So what happens if they got a people's vote and then they voted for it, and then would you get a third vote, just best out of 3? Femi. Femi. The future of the UK. They didn't want to ask questions.
See, I think that people get Brexit all wrong. People have been saying that it's going to cost us money, and no, it's going to save us money. Don't you think? I mean, when the Brexit referendum happened, I was really, really in a bad place. I thought I was going to have to turn to drugs and alcohol. But it turns out, no. No need for LSD, no need for magic mushrooms. Just turn on the news. Wait for Brexit to come up, and you start hallucinating. I mean, can you imagine the amount of money that I have saved on meth alone this year? I have saved £350 million every week.
My goodness, Femi's meth bill's £350 million. That's a revelation.
Jacob Rees-Mogg, the man with the most prehistoric views in the country, called Remainers cavemen. Jacob Rees-Mogg, who says that UK businesses are better off if they leave the EU, moved his UK business to an EU country. Now that's a creative heroine right there.
He's already said he wanted to be a global Britain, not just an insular Britain. So it doesn't matter where he does it in the world. He's already said that he wanted a global Britain looking out the way. So all Remainers have said they want a global Britain, but obviously they don't get it.
European partners quit the job of Foreign Secretary because it left us too close to the single market. And then you got David Davis. The man tweeted a couple of days before the referendum, "Don't worry guys, we'll still get to keep all the deals the EU has with other countries." That's the basics of international trade right there. He thinks that a non-EU member still gets the benefits of being an EU member, and we put him in charge of the big...
So what they would do there is have zero tariffs. So we would advocate zero tariffs with all other countries, not just the EU, and then that would increase trade. You don't need the European Union to have trade deals or have actual trade agreements. This is just a nonsense by the Remainers to stay part of this undemocratic European Union.
There's a reason why a majority of people want a people's vote on the Brexit deal. It's because
They were pissed off that they lost in the first one.
horrendous division in our country.
Made by you guys.
This isn't going the way anybody wanted.
Because Theresa May's a Remainer and shouldn't have been involved in the actual negotiations in the first place.
But to get to where we need to be, we need to have a conversation. Because the conversation up to this point, it just hasn't worked. We've had Brexiters who think that Remainers love other European countries more than they love the UK, when in fact we love the EU because we love the UK. We've had Remainers telling Brexiters that everything is fine as it is, that they had no reason to be upset, or in fact we have a country that has not been working for the whole country. We have a London-centric country that has left the North East behind, that has left Wales behind, that has left Northern Ireland behind, that has left Scotland behind. And that has to change.
When we get Brexit.
I mean, me personally, I started school in Dundee. My brother was born in a hospital in Dundee. I feel Scottish. I mean, I've lived in Swansea, I've lived in Birmingham. The country is my home, not just England. But the country has been left behind. Now we have to recognize that. Our future, our choice, the movement of young people for a people's vote. We've been touring the country, asking people who voted leave what they wanted.
As you can see, they didn't want to talk to me when they were asking these questions.
They wanted more control.
Nothing to do with NHS.
Things to finally get better.
None of which will be delivered within the EU.
Now those are things that we all agree with. Those are things that every person here should want. The only question is this Brexit deal going to achieve that? Or in fact, is it going to leave us copying the rules of the EU, but giving up our dominant position in influencing those rules?